Welcome, everyone, and hello, Debbie. It's a pleasure to have you here.
Thank you. I'm so happy to be here.
Yeah, it's been I've been waiting for this moment, so I'm so excited to have you on this podcast and share your story and how plant medicine brought you where you are today. But before we dive into that story, I would actually want to invite you to introduce yourself and tell the world who you are and how it all came into your life.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Anna, for holding space for me. I just feel so grateful to be here and in the context of psychedelics. So that is just so cool that, this day and age we're here. But my name is Debbie. I am a Kundalini yoga meditation teacher, and I also guide people with plant medicine, specifically microdosing psilocybin. And I live in San Francisco. I love to travel and teach wherever I can and create communities as I travel. So yeah, maybe in the next few years I'll be a little bit nomadic, but for right now, you can find me in San Francisco teaching and holding really beautiful events where I hold a tea service event with microdosing. And yeah, I've been in the yoga wellness industry, whole community for almost 12 years now, since the first time I stepped into a yoga studio. And I it just transformed me. So yoga, meditation, was a really big part of my being, my new being. And with more trainings and a bit more confidence in the help of plant medicine, I was able to get my offerings out there and become a teacher myself. So I give a lot of my, thanks to plant medicine to allowing me to find my true self, which I'm sure I'll get into later. But
Totally.
that's a bit about me. I'm based in San Francisco and I teach yoga.
I'm actually curious because, people tune in from different parts of the world. I used to live in Canada and I know the scene there, but now I'm in Romania and it's a totally different scene and I've traveled a lot. So I'm curious, what's the psychedelic scene like in San Francisco?
Yeah, so San Francisco, I think there's all different kinds of us. So there's yeah, as you know, we are very big in the tech world in San Francisco, Silicon
Mhm.
Valley, Bay Area. So I think we have a lot of techies that are dabbling now into the psychedelic world and have been too. We have the beautiful history of Haight Ashbury, where all the hippies were in the 60s,
Totally,
70s.
yeah.
Yeah, so where LSD and mushrooms were alive. I wish I could be back there and see how San Francisco was back then. But I just found out that Janis Joplin used to live on my street. So
No way, really?
yeah, like just a couple blocks down, we were walking and my husband said that building's for sale, and their pitch is that Janis Joplin lived on the top floor and had amazing parties there. So cool just to think about all this rich history in San Francisco. Um, and there's people, everyday people that just want to find a way to heal themselves and just be um, more aware of themselves. And I think I'm really trying to tap into that community, and I'm working with that community with my events. So there's all different kinds. So it's really cool to see the city still kind of tapping into their roots.
Mm-hmm. And it
Mhm.
sounds to me like you're merging yoga, meditation, plant medicine all together in like this beautiful experience.
Yeah.
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 And I'm curious how long you've been like how did you find plant medicine and how long ago and how did it all start for you?
Yeah. So Actually, I started the first time I ever tried mushrooms, psilocybin, was almost 8 years ago. And it was very recreational. And I had the stigma in my head still that I'm going to lose control of my body. It's going to be wild. It's
That's the biggest fear.
going, yeah, it could be very dangerous for myself. And I was in a very safe environment in a beautiful riverside, like nature, like it was just gorgeous. So I felt very comfortable with the people that I was with to go ahead and begin an experiment. And it's kind of what I like to say now is that life is just an experiment. So I experimented, I tried it, and I had one of the most beautiful nights ever. I saw the world very differently. Um, I saw the beauty in the universe for the first time, like I had never seen it before. And it, yeah, I just still have it right now in my brain, like the viewings and everything that was coming to me and messages. And although it was still in a very recreational environment, it was a very big pivotal moment because I felt safe then. So I felt safe, and I felt that the medicine was really giving me that gateway to say it's okay to do these medicines and still have fun, and eventually you will find your healing. And that's kind of how it happened. So um, fast forward to maybe 4 years ago, I was in a really low spot in my life. I had a lot of depression, anxiety, which I still struggle with today. And I decided to just take responsibility of that feeling. And I went and I went to the beach one day and I wrote a list with my partner because I needed assistance with me. I needed help. So I wrote a list of the things that I wanted to work on. And then I wrote a list of how I can get there. And one of the things was plant medicine, and it was microdosing. And again, I was very much a little nervous about microdosing. I've, of course, heard about it here in San Francisco. People were microdosing LSD, going to work and hanging out. And I was just scared again that I would lose control, and how would I be on mushrooms on a daily basis. And I just went for it. I found the product, and I remember getting it, and I was so excited. And I took the afternoon to myself. I ingested it, and I was fine. I was totally fine. um, I was just okay. And I began the vitamin protocol. And little by little, I started to notice what worked for me and what didn't work for me in my life.
Mm-hmm.
And it was like the medicine was guiding me towards, you know, what feels good and what doesn't, and making me a much more creative person at the same time too. So
Wow, that's so
yeah.
interesting. I feel like this is kind of the best way to follow the guidance of plant medicine is tuning back into yourself and allowing yourself to say that this actually feels good, even though I was taught that it shouldn't, or this doesn't feel good, even though I'm expected it to should, and so it's beautiful to hear that someone has had the courage to admit all those things to herself. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that's a big part of it is that you just have to be humble to the medicine, because it will bring up things that maybe are a little uncomfortable, and things that um bring joy a lot of times. And so I'm here to receive everything. And so that's kind of how my journey began with microdosing. Is I myself needed that help. I needed it. I began my own journey, and I began just working with it a lot more. And then it came a point where I wanted others to experience what I was experiencing as well.
Yeah. And so just to understand it, you started you had your beautiful experience 8 years ago, and then there was a gap between when you started microdosing, or there were other experiences with psychedelics that happened?
Yeah. So about that gap, so there was a lot more experiences, which were great. Some I would do again, some I wouldn't do again. I experimented with LSD, MDMA in different recreational ways, and some worked for me in certain ways, some didn't, and so it was really cool to be able to expand my mind more and be able to see the universe in a different way. And I think that's what I got out of all of it, is that I found out the medicine that I connected with the most. And I also knew what was right for my own body. But all the experiences were positive, if not just learning experiences. So what I learned, from LSD is that the world can be seen in many different colors, in literally and figuratively. So and MDMA really puts me in touch with my true core feelings, and the feeling of love and abundance and wanting to be held. So I learned a lot from those experiences. And then when the time came where I wanted to just experiment more with the healing aspect of it and put it in with my work, I was just connected a lot more to plants, which was psilocybin. So so that's where my experiments were with the psychedelics.
I love it.
Yeah.
I feel like each psychedelic will have a different flavor and amplify sides of you and sides of your world, and then you get to choose with the microdosing journey what you want to integrate and bring back into your life. And so you said you started, microdosing with on the Family 1 protocol, and for those of you who don't know, it's like 1 day on and 2 days off. And then I'm curious, like, did you know your dose, or what was that journey like? Did you just start with the recommended dose and that was fine for you, or you had to adjust, or there was no issue with that? I'm curious.
Yeah. So it was all very much about what I wanted, what was going to be good for my body. But I did start off small. I started off with probably 0.1.
Okay.
0.1 milligrams of 0.1 grams of the psilocybin, and it felt good in my body. I worked up a little bit higher, and I'm usually at 0.1 to 0.2. Usually if I go a little bit higher, that's when I start to feel a little bit more. And so I usually stay between 1.1 to 0.2. But what I like to guide people a lot with is to just take note of what's happening in your body. So I would take note of the interactions that I would have with it. So does it feel good when I drink coffee at the same time? Does it feel good when I have a glass of wine later on? Does it feel good when I talk to certain people, when I do certain tasks? Is this something that I want to do when I want to be more creative, or when I am just doing my regular work tasks or chores or anything of the sort? Do I want to be more outside? So it was a learning curve to understand the sweet spot for myself. And I think everybody is so different too. So for me, I started off very small, and then I worked myself up a little bit more to find that sweet spot for myself. And I learned and I journaled about what felt good when I did it and what didn't feel good. And even now I'll still experiment as well. But I did do the Fadiman protocol, 2 days off, 1 day on.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and most recently I've started just doing it intuitively too. So just microdosing when I feel the need, that the buzz has kind of gone off. I feel like I need a little bit of jolt in my life. So yeah.
Yeah, and I actually I love what you said there, because we are also different, right? And I know that for me, starting with 0.1 was actually too high, so I had to lower it to half of it, right? And so I
Mhm.
know people that are like that, and then this process of discovery, because it's almost like going on a date, right, with someone. It's like finding out, how does it feel in this situation, how does it feel in the other situation, what can I talk about, what can I not, and what can I bring into my life and what not, right? It's developing a relationship. uh,
Yes.
and I love your process, because I find that anyone that has had an amazing transformational experience using microdosing has used it in this way, where it's not just
Yeah.
like something you pop in your mouth and then expect
No.
it to work for you.
Yeah, I agree what you said. And I love that you said that it's like going on a date with someone because there's so many different varieties too, is what you just reminded me of, that there's so many different types of mushrooms as well, that they all have their own personalities too.
Yeah.
So yeah, so that's what I try to notice now too. Sometimes I'll have my hands on all these beautiful varieties that I'll know, okay, this one's a bit more creative, so I'll save some of this mushroom for when I want to be more creative, or this one's a bit more mellow, so I know I can do this when I want to just relax and
Do you have some
chill.
screen names for those?
The which ones?
So the ones that you are mentioning for
Oh yeah.
creativity or mellow or that, do you have names for it?
Yeah, so there's a strain called Koh Samui. It's a Thai Koh Samui. It's like the island in Thailand, Koh Samui. Um, and it's a Thai strain. So I've been microdosing on it lately, and it puts me in the most beautiful creative space. It's just
Wow.
so creative. I usually always try to do my wellness work when I'm microdosing on it, because it just makes me create really beautiful imagery. And yeah, in even the tiniest amount works. And another really favorite one of mine lately is the albino Avery. And that one is really soothing. And I use that in my tea ceremonies.
Interesting. See, I've
Yeah.
never tried any of this too. I've tried many other strains, but not this too.
There's
And
so many.
yeah, I know, I
Yeah.
know.
So many to date.
So many to date.
So many to date.
Uh, and so you're mentioning the protocol and this discovery process, and like maybe tell us a bit about any other practices that you feel like work so well with microdosing, that enhance each other, that took you to a whole new level of self-discovery.
Yes. Um, two of them, which would be Kundalini yoga. If you're not aware of it, Kundalini yoga is yoga of awareness. It is a practice that brings you more connected to your energetic self, all of your bodies, because we are more than just our physical body. We have many different bodies in our life. We have, our energy, our auric, we have our minds, that those are bodies in itself. Um, so it helps us become more aware of our feelings and of who we are. And so pairing it with Kundalini yoga, which can also be so deeply meditative, has been outstanding for me and for others as well that I've guided in that path. And it really puts me in connection with the universe. So I love that feeling, and it puts me more connected into my practice too. And I feel the lineage of my practice, and I feel connected to the teachers and students, even if I'm just doing it by myself. So I just feel super in tune. And the other one is meditation and sound healing. So meditating and going through a guided meditation and listening to sound healing is just divine when you're microdosing. It's just such a beautiful experience, and all of that kind of ties into the work that I do. And I did it myself, and then I wanted to show it to everybody. So those are the two major things that I love doing when I'm microdosing. And of course, going out in nature, doing nature walks.
Yeah, totally. That's just,
yeah, that's the best. I just love being able to be out there, and all of a sudden things just seem a bit more clear and brighter and happier.
yeah, definitely.
Mm.
And do you find like you've discovered new sides of self as you're doing this work? And if so, what showed up for you?
Yeah, constantly. I feel like, in the beginning it was really difficult challenging. I don't like to say difficult, but it was just very challenging because I was navigating a new medicine and navigating new versions of myself. So, yeah, it came with its challenges, and that's kind of what life is like. You're going to go through the hard parts to get to the good stuff. So yeah, so discovering the ickiness about myself, the stuff that I don't want to have in my life, the stuff that I want to remove, that was a wonderful discovery. And then discovering these beautiful new parts of myself, like I am really a powerful teacher. I have my strength. Um, Getting connected to my worth is really an ongoing healing process that I do with the mushrooms. So that's always really great for myself. Embodiment practices, I've been really loving just doing mirror work and telling my body that I am appreciative of it. So finding those new ways to love myself. So just being able to constantly evolve is really cool. And I think that's what life is, and what plant medicine kind of helps you is you're constantly evolving. So I am constantly finding new ways of myself, new ways to interact, and whether they may be just lessons or whether it's successes, it's just new versions of myself that I keep finding. And yeah, it's all been an incredible journey and continues to be.
Yeah, beautiful. I mean, we are endless, right? And so
Yeah,
life is constantly bringing out all these new sides that
yeah,
kind of readjusting. And I think the process of like knowing that this is a constant in life, the fact that it pulls out of us things that are new, and adjusting to it, and going with it and not resisting it, is like that's what evolution is, and growing and evolving and expanding.
exactly. Yeah. And I find myself more connected to nature. That's like one bit major thing, is that I just find myself so grateful for nature, the universe, and for others too, for my loved ones. I find deep gratitude for them, a lot more than I have in the past. Um, so yeah, those are the major insights that I've learned myself, is just gratitude for others, for myself, for nature.
Love it.
Mhm.
And I want to go back a bit to some of the challenges you've experienced at the beginning, because I think that there is a lot of fear for new beginners to try this, and they have all these scenarios in their head, and maybe kind of walk us through your challenges and how you've overcome that and what was on the other side,
Yeah, totally. And I agree, there's a lot of fear, and I had that fear. I experienced it myself. I experienced it myself, 8 years ago, and experienced it again 4 years ago when I started my microdosing journey. So the fear was losing control for me. That's a big one. And I think that's a lot of the common fears that people have when I speak to them too, is the fear of losing control of your thoughts, your mind, your body. And also the fear of the unknown, the fear of what am I going to see? What are the revelations that are going to happen? Am I going to want to just completely change myself? So there was fear for me, yeah, of all of that. There was fear of losing control of myself, fear of the unknown, what could possibly change with me. And when I would start to feel that fear, meditation really came in place for me, really came in a really good place for me. I would try to just be with myself and soothe myself and just know that it's going to be okay. So another really big practice that I like to do too, and I learned as I was microdosing, is just writing down what is reality and what is my thoughts. So I would write down, okay, I have a fear that I'm not worthy, that people are not wanting me around. And I would write that down, and then I would write down, okay, what is the reality? The reality is I just had a beautiful lunch with friends. I have plans to do a class tomorrow. I have a plan to, be with my husband tonight. So once I would write those things down, I would realize, okay, that's definitely just a crazy thought in my head, or not a crazy thought. It's just a wild thought that's trying to take over. So that was a really big practice for me, and it still is. It's a little challenging at times still. I don't think that anybody is perfect. We all still have very much the same struggles in different forms. And I try to practice that. I try to practice more breath work when the times are challenging. Just yesterday, it was a challenging day. And
What
what was that?
made it challenging, if you don't mind?
I've been dealing with grief a lot. I just lost a beloved pet of 17 years.
Oh.
And yeah, I just got his ashes yesterday. And it was a very big challenging day for myself. And I think it's really important for healers to be, vulnerable and honest. So I'm glad that I'm sharing this with everybody, that, we all are human, and my feelings just came on overboard. And I calmed myself down with the help of obviously my husband too. And we did breath work together, and breath work got me down. And then I microdosed, which really helped me again get into my space of love. And it put me into a beautiful creative space. And I had a lovely evening. And so instead of running away and wanting to be reclusive and hide my feelings and hide the pain that I was going through, I finally allowed myself to just be. to allow the help in and to use the tools that I have. So breath work and microdosing to be able to soothe myself there.
Yeah,
So there's still days that are hard.
yeah, and grief can take a toll on us if we don't actually tend to it and acknowledge it and allow it to just be there. And I like how you processed it first with breath work, and then you brought microdosing for self-love and compassion, and just be with yourself where you are in the process of grieving something that you've lost.
Yeah, totally. It's all a process. It's all experimentation. And I think the medicine has also helped me just be more open to help from myself. A lot of times
receiving
yeah
help?
receiving all the help that I can get. I am a strong-willed Taurus and
Me
I like
too.
oh no way.
Yes.
Oh my God, amazing. Oh, when is your birthday?
April 25th.
I'm May 10th. Okay, cool.
Nice.
Yeah, so we can be a little stubborn at times, and we want to do everything on our own. And
I know.
yeah. And so the medicines really helped me try to lower that down and receive.
Yeah, that was a big journey for me last year. Like learning how to receive, it was just excruciating pain.
Yeah, I believe you. I feel that.
Yeah. Wow. Okay, so I'm curious, if you had an advice for your younger self that started, working with microdosing, what would that be? What would you tell yourself?
My advice would be for my younger self is to not feel fear, or to not be afraid of fear. That fear is here to guide. It can show us different aspects of ourselves. So to allow yourself to feel it and just be with it, and not see it in so negative ways. So to be able to use the fear as motivation is a big one.
Yeah, I mean, fear is actually the wall between us and the emotion that we have to experience. And this fear is like the thing that's kind of protecting us, even though it's making us a disservice.
Yeah.
Right? Because we are more resilient than we give ourselves credit for. We can actually handle the emotions that we fear.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I 100% agree with you. It's trying to protect us, but it's trying to keep us in our box, in our own box, and not being able to expand. So yeah. Mm-hmm.
And now that so many people are listening to this, I'm curious, do you have any piece of advice for them? Maybe they have not microdosed, or maybe they've tried and it feels like it didn't work for them. What would you tell them?
Yeah, I would my number one advice is to just take note of everything that you interact with when you do microdose. So and if you haven't microdosed, my first advice is it's okay. It's not for everybody. And if you do want to microdose, make sure that it feels right in your body and that it's calling you. And you'll definitely know when it's the right time. Don't feel forced to start anything that you don't want to start. Even though it's a plant and it's still very powerful and it's potent, and many things can come up as we've been talking. Like it could be challenging at times, it could be beautiful, super beautiful all the time. So just do what feels right in your body. Start when the time feels right. And also do research on it. There's so much research now about it, and amazing people that are mentors on it that can help as well. And when for the people that are microdosing or have just started their journey, is just notice your interactions, notice yourself, notice what feels right in your body and what doesn't. That's my number one advice for people that I work with, is keep a journal of when every time that you microdose, your microdosing journal, and write down what you did that day, and maybe the challenges that you were having, and maybe the successes that you had, and write down what felt good and what maybe didn't feel good. So just keep note of yourself and do it when it feels right.
I love it. I love it.
Mm.
Well, thank you so much, David. This kind of concludes our,
Great.
conversation, and it was full of great advice, and I really appreciate everything you've
Thank
said.
you. Thank you so much. I am so grateful to be able to share my journey and my work with your community. So excited about this.
Yeah, we're touching everyone one heart at a time.
Yeah, I'm all about that.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you so much.